Clara Whitmore's hands were shaking so hard she couldn't hold the pen. The banker slid the foreclosure notice across his desk, 30 days to sell, or the bank would take everything. Her son Tommy stood beside her silent, as he'd been since watching his father die 2 years ago. 8 years old, and he hadn't spoken a full sentence since. The banker smiled. It wasn't kind. "A woman alone can't manage a cattle ranch, Mrs. Whitmore. Mr. Cross has made a generous offer. I suggest you take it before—" Clara stood, walked out, left the paper on his desk. Tommy followed, still silent, always silent. Before we begin, if you're watching from anywhere in the world, please subscribe and comment with your city below. I want to see how far this story reaches. And stay until the end, because what happens between Clara, a broken soldier, and her silent son will either break your heart or put it back together. Maybe both. The February wind cut through Clara's wool coat like it wasn't there. She walked fast. Tommy's hand in hers, away from the bank, away from the general store, where women whispered behind their hands, away from the church where Reverend Gaines preached about widows who bring calamity upon themselves. "Mama," Tommy whispered. First word in 3 days. Clara stopped, knelt in the frozen mud. "What is it, baby?" Tommy pointed at the bakery window. Fresh bread still steaming. Her stomach twisted. They'd had cornmeal mush for breakfast. Cornmeal mush for dinner the night before. Cornmeal mush for, "Not today, sweetheart. Maybe Sunday." Sunday was 6 days away. She didn't have money for Sunday either. They walked home, 3 miles on foot because she'd sold the wagon last month. The Whitmore Ranch sat at the edge of town, 40 acres of scrub brush and stubborn hope. The house her husband James had built by hand before a spooked horse kicked him in the head and killed him in front of their son. The fence was cut again. Clara stopped breathing. Cattle were gone, every single one. 20 head, her entire herd, wandered off through the gap in the wire, probably scattered across 3 counties by now. "Stay here," she told Tommy. She ran to the fence line. Fresh cuts. Wire snipped clean, not rusted through. Someone had done this. Same someone who'd cut the fence 2 weeks ago. Same someone who'd poisoned her well last month. Boot prints in the mud. Big. Male. Leading north toward Cross's land. Mrs. Whitmore. Clara spun around. A man stood by her barn. Tall. Dark-skinned. Cavalry coat worn to threads. He held his hands where she could see them. "Who the hell are you?" Clara's voice came out harder than she meant. "Name's Eli Storm. Folks call me Eli. He paused, looked past her at the cut fence. "I'm the man who's been watching your property at night. And I'm sorry, ma'am. I wasn't here when they did this." Clara's hand went to the pocket where she kept James's folding knife. "You been watching my property that's supposed to make me feel safe?" "No, ma'am. It's supposed to explain why I was here when your barn almost caught fire last Tuesday." Clara's blood went cold. "What fire?" "The one I put out before it spread. Someone soaked your hay bales in kerosene. I smelled it, found the trail, doused it before it caught proper. And you didn't think to mention this to me. Didn't want to scare you. Thought I could handle it quiet. I don't need a man handling things for me." "No, ma'am. You need a man working for you. There's a difference." Clara stared at him. His face was weathered, creased at the eyes, scars on his hands, a long old scar down the side of his neck. This was a man who'd seen violence. Maybe caused some too. "I don't have money to pay you." "Didn't ask for money." "Then what do you want?" Eli looked at the ranch house, the sagging porch, the cracked windows, the barn that needed new boards. A place to work, food, somewhere to sleep. That ain't the ground. I'll take wages when you can afford them. Until then, I'll take 3 meals and a dry place to lay my head. Why? Because someone's trying to run you off this land, and I got a feeling I know who. And because... He stopped, looked at Tommy, who'd appeared at Clara's side, silent and staring. Because a boy that age shouldn't look that scared in his own yard. Clara wanted to say no. Every instinct screamed danger, strange man, unknown past, too convenient. But her cattle were gone. Her fence was cut. Her barn had almost burned. And Tommy was looking at this stranger with something Clara hadn't seen in his eyes for 2 years. Curiosity. "You got a reference?" Clara asked. "Someone who'll vouch for you." "No, ma'am. Been on the move since I mustered out. But I can show you my discharge papers if you want proof I served." Cavalry. 10th Cavalry. Buffalo Soldiers. Spent 8 years fighting Comanche Apache and worse. Clara knew the 10th. Black Regiment. Segregated. Toughest soldiers in the West, according to James, who'd fought alongside them at Fort Davis. "Show me the papers." Eli reached into his coat slowly, pulled out a folded document. Clara opened it. Discharge papers dated 1881. Honorable service. Signed by Colonel Benjamin Grierson himself. "Why'd you leave?" "War ended. Army didn't need as many of us. And I—" His voice went flat. "I had reasons to leave." "What reasons?" "Personal ones. Ma'am, you can trust me or you can send me away. But if I go, whoever's cutting your fences will come back. And next time, it won't be just fences." Clara looked at Tommy, at her son's too thin face and too quiet eyes, at the cut fence, at the barn that had almost burned. "You sleep in the barn. You eat after we eat. You don't come in the house unless I invite you. And if I find out you're working for Cross, I ain't. I'll shoot you myself." "Yes, ma'am. And if you touch my son, I won't. I'll do worse than shoot you." "Understood." Clara held out her hand. They shook. His grip was firm, calloused, careful not to squeeze too hard. "I'll start with the fence," Eli said. He walked away before she could change her mind, started gathering the cut wire, his movements efficient, practiced. Tommy tugged Clara's sleeve, pointed at Eli. "What baby?" Tommy made a gesture Clara didn't understand at first. Then she realized he was mimicking tipping a hat, the way James used to. "Yeah," Clara said softly. "He seems decent. Maybe." That night, Clara lay awake in her bed listening to the sounds of the ranch. Cattle lowing weight. Cattle. She went to the window, saw her herd in the pen. All 20 head. Eli stood by the gate, watching them settle. He'd found them, rounded them up, brought them home. Clara's throat tightened. She hadn't cried when James died, hadn't cried when the town turned on her, hadn't cried when the banker handed her foreclosure papers. But she cried now. Just a little. Just enough. The next morning, Clara found Eli already working. He'd fixed the fence, reinforced the gate, and mucked out the barn. When she brought him breakfast, leftover cornbread and black coffee, he took it with a quiet, "Thank you, ma'am," and ate standing up. "You can sit," Clara said. "Prefer to stand. Old habit." Tommy appeared in the barn doorway, stared at Eli. Eli nodded at him once, then went back to eating. "Your boy always this quiet?" Eli asked. "Since his father died. Hasn't said more than a few words at a time since." "How'd it happen?" "Horse spooked. Kicked James in the head. Tommy saw it." Eli stopped eating. Set the plate down. "That's a hard thing for a child to carry." "Yeah." He talked to doctors. "Can't afford doctors. Can barely afford food." Eli picked up his plate again, chewed thoughtfully. "My son used to go quiet after bad dreams. Wife would sit with him. Didn't make him talk, just sat. Took time, but he'd come around." Clara's heart sank. "You have a son." "Had. He and my wife died 6 years ago. Cholera." "I'm sorry." "Me too." They stood in uncomfortable silence. Tommy wandered closer, watching Eli with wide eyes. "You like horses, son?" Eli asked gently. Tommy nodded. "You want to help me check their hooves later, make sure they're sound." Tommy looked at Clara. She nodded. Tommy nodded too. "Good," Eli said. "I'll teach you proper, the way my boy learned." 3 days passed. Eli worked from dawn to dusk. Fixed the barn door, patched the roof, built a new chicken coop because Clara's hens kept getting picked off by coyotes. He didn't talk much, didn't ask questions, just worked. On the fourth day, Sheriff Dawson rode up. Clara's stomach dropped. Dawson was Cross's man, everyone knew it. He tipped his hat to her, but his eyes were cold. "Mrs. Whitmore, heard you hired help." "I did." "Mind if I meet him?" "I do mind, actually." "Not asking permission, ma'am. Got reports of a suspicious character on your property. Just doing my job." Eli appeared from the barn, walked over calm and steady. "This him?" Dawson asked. "This is Eli Storm, my ranch foreman." Dawson's eyebrows rose. "Foreman? That's a mighty big title for a—" He stopped, smiled ugly. "For a drifter." "I ain't drifting," Eli said quietly. "I'm working." "You got papers." Eli produced his discharge papers without a word. Dawson barely glanced at them. "Buffalo soldier, huh? Long way from your regiment." "Regiment disbanded. I moved on." "Moved on to what, squatting on white folks' property?" Clara stepped between them. "He's not squatting. He works for me, legally. And unless you've got a warrant, Sheriff, you can leave my property." Dawson's smile vanished. "Careful, Mrs. Whitmore. People are already talking about you." "You really want to add harboring a—" "Say it," Eli interrupted. His voice was soft, dangerous. "Go ahead. Say what you want to say." Dawson's hand drifted toward his gun. Eli didn't move, didn't blink. "Sheriff," Clara said sharply, "unless you're here to investigate who cut my fences and tried to burn my barn, you're wasting my time." "Cut fences? That's the first I'm hearing of it." "Because I didn't report it. Figured you wouldn't do anything anyway." Dawson's jaw tightened. "You're making a mistake, ma'am. Cross has been patient, but patience runs out." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact." He rode away. Clara didn't breathe until he was gone. "Thank you," Eli said. "For what?" "For standing between us. You didn't have to." "Yes, I did. You work for me. That makes you my responsibility." Eli studied her face. "You're tougher than you look, Mrs. Whitmore." "I have to be. Nobody else is going to stand up for us." "I will." Clara wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that someone finally would stay, but men always left, either by choice or by death. "We'll see," she said. Why, that night, Tommy had a nightmare. Clara heard him crying and ran to his room. Found him sitting up in bed, trembling, tears streaming down his face. "Baby, what is it?" Tommy pointed out the window. "At the barn, where Eli slept." "You're scared of Eli." Tommy shook his head. Pointed again. Made a gesture, someone falling. "You dreamed about Daddy." Tommy nodded. Clara held him, rocked him, whispered things mothers whisper, but Tommy wouldn't settle, kept pointing at the barn. Finally, Clara understood. "You want to check on Eli. Make sure he's okay." Tommy nodded frantically. Clara wrapped him in a blanket, carried him outside, knocked on the barn door. "Eli, you awake?" Shuffling. The door opened. Eli stood there in his undershirt, hair loose around his shoulders. "Ma'am, something wrong. Tommy had a nightmare. He's—" Clara's voice broke. "He's scared you're dead." Eli's face softened. He knelt down eye level with Tommy. "I'm right here, son. See, breathing and everything." He took Tommy's hand, placed it over his own heart. "Feel that beating steady. I'm not going anywhere tonight." Tommy's tears slowed. He looked at Eli with such desperate hope it made Clara's chest ache. "You want to sit with me a minute?" Eli asked. "Make sure I'm real." Tommy nodded. Eli glanced at Clara. She nodded permission. He carried Tommy into the barn, sat him on a hay bale. Clara followed. "When I was your age," Eli said quietly, "my daddy died. Accident in the fields. I had nightmares for months. Kept thinking everyone I loved would disappear." Tommy stared at him. "But you know what my mama told me. She said baby people leave. That's the truth. But while they're here, you love them hard as you can. And when they're gone, you keep loving them. Love doesn't stop just because they do." Tommy's lip trembled. "Your daddy loved you fierce, didn't he?" Tommy nodded. "Then he's still loving you. Every day. From wherever good men go when they die." Tommy looked at Clara, then back at Eli. Then in the smallest voice he whispered, "You're not going to die." Clara's heart stopped. First full sentence in 2 years. Eli's eyes glistened. "Not if I can help it, son. I'm tough. Hard to kill. Your mama's paying me good, and I don't quit jobs before they're done." "Promise." Eli hesitated, looked at Clara. She saw the fear in his eyes, the fear of making a promise he couldn't keep. But he looked back at Tommy and said, "I promise I'll do everything I can to stay alive. That's the best promise anyone can make." "Okay." Tommy thought about it, then nodded. "Can I go back to bed now, Mama?" Clara couldn't speak, just nodded, carried Tommy back to the house, tucked him in, kissed his forehead. When she came back outside, Eli was standing by the barn door, looking up at the stars. "He spoke," Clara said. "He did. Because of you. Because he was ready." Clara wanted to say more, wanted to thank him, wanted to ask him to stay forever, wanted to— "Good night, Mrs. Whitmore," Eli said softly. "Good night, Eli, and thank you." He nodded, went back inside. Clara stood in the dark listening to the wind and for the first time in 2 years felt something like hope. Why? The next week passed like a dream. Eli worked. Tommy followed him everywhere. Clara cooked meals that felt almost normal. But on the 8th day, Nathaniel Cross came calling. He rode up in a black carriage pulled by matched horses. Wore a suit that cost more than Clara's entire ranch. Stepped down like a king visiting peasants. "Mrs. Whitmore, a pleasure." "Mr. Cross, what do you want?" "Straight to business. I like that." He smiled, looked around. "Fine property you have here. Your late husband built it well." "He did." "Shame about his accident. Terrible loss." "It was." Cross's smile faded. "I'll be direct, Mrs. Whitmore. I need this land. The railroad's coming through, and this property sits on the only viable route. I'm prepared to offer you $3,000. That's twice what the bank will give you when they foreclose." Clara's hands clenched. "How do you know about the foreclosure?" "I know everything that happens in this county. It's my business to know." He leaned closer. "Take the money, Mrs. Whitmore. Buy a little house in town. Raise your boy somewhere safe. This ranch is killing you slowly." "No. No. This land belonged to my husband. I won't sell it. Even if staying means losing everything, your cattle are barely worth butchering. Your fences are falling apart. And that—" He glanced at Eli, who stood by the barn watching. "That man you hired, he can't save you." "He doesn't need to. I'll save myself." Cross's face hardened. "You're making a mistake." "It's my mistake to make." "Then you'll make it alone. Because I'll make sure no one in this county helps you. No credit at the store, no hands willing to work for you, no water rights when summer comes. You'll dry up and blow away, Mrs. Whitmore, and when you do, I'll buy this land from the bank for pennies." He climbed back into his carriage, rode away without another word. Clara stood frozen. Tommy ran to her side. Eli walked over. "How bad is it?" Eli asked. "He's going to strangle us, cut off credit, block water rights, make it impossible to operate." "Can he do that?" "He owns half the town. The other half owes him money. Yeah, he can do that." Eli was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I got some money saved. Not much, but enough to buy supplies if the store won't give credit." "I can't take your money." "You're not taking. I'm investing. If this ranch goes under, I lose my job. Makes sense to keep it afloat." Clara looked at him. At this man who'd appeared out of nowhere and stayed when anyone else would have run. "Why are you really here, Eli?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, why did you stop here at my ranch out of all the places you could have gone?" Eli looked away, touched something at his throat, a leather cord barely visible under his collar. "I was passing through, saw your fence get cut, saw the men who did it, followed them back to Cross's land. And I thought..." He stopped, started again. "I thought, here's a woman alone with a boy to protect and nobody helping her. And I remember what that feels like, being alone, needing help and getting none." "What happened to your family, Eli, really?" His jaw tightened. "We lived on Kiowa land. My wife was Kiowa. Our son was mixed. When the army forced relocations, they burned our home. My wife and boy were inside. I was 3 miles away escorting a supply wagon. By the time I got back..." He didn't finish, didn't need to. "I'm sorry," Clara whispered. "Don't be. Just let me stay. Let me help. Because I couldn't help them, but maybe I can help you." Clara made a decision that felt like stepping off a cliff. "Okay, but Eli, if we're going to survive this, we can't just defend. We have to fight back." Eli's eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw the soldier he used to be. "Then let's fight," he said. Tommy looked up at both of them, and for the first time since his father died, he smiled. The general store smelled like tobacco and judgment. Clara pushed through the door with Tommy's hand in hers, and Eli following 2 steps behind. Every head turned. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Martha Green stood behind the counter, arms crossed. "We're closed." "Your sign says open until 6, Clara said. "It's 4:30. "I said we're closed." Clara set her shopping list on the counter. "I need flour, salt, coffee, and lamp oil. I have cash." Martha didn't look at the list. "Can't help you." "Why not?" "Store policy. We reserve the right to refuse service." "Since when?" "Since this morning. Mr. Cross bought a stake in the business. New rules." Martha's eyes flicked to Eli. "We don't serve his kind anyway." Eli's hand twitched. Clara felt him tense behind her. "His kind." Clara's voice went quiet. "Dangerous." "You mean employed? Or are you going to say what you really mean?" Martha's face flushed. "I mean, we don't want trouble." "Then sell me flour and we'll leave." "No." Tommy tugged Clara's sleeve. She looked down. Her son's eyes were wide, frightened. He'd seen this before. The rejection. The cruelty disguised as propriety. Clara picked up her list, turned to leave, then stopped. "My husband used to spend $60 a month in this store, Martha. Every month for 8 years. That's almost $6,000. You took his money just fine when he was alive." "Things change." "Yeah, they do." Clara walked out. Eli followed. Tommy ran ahead to the wagon. "There's a trading post in Cedar Bluff," Eli said quietly. 20 miles south. They'll sell to us." "That's 2 days travel round trip. We don't have 2 days." "Then what do you want to do?" Clara looked back at the store, at Martha watching through the window, at the other shopkeepers pretending not to stare. "I want to burn it down," Clara said, "but I'll settle for finding another way." They climbed into the wagon. Tommy sat between them. As they pulled away, someone threw a rock. It hit the side of the wagon with a crack that made Tommy jump. "Widow whore!" a voice shouted. Clara kept driving, didn't look back. Her hands shook on the reins. "Mama!" Tommy whispered. "What's a whore?" Clara's throat closed up. "It's a word small people use when they can't think of anything smarter to say," Eli said calmly. "Means nothing. Worth less." Tommy considered this. Then why did they say it? Because your mama scares them. Mama's not scary. She is to folks who need other people to be small so they can feel big. Tommy thought about this all the way home. When they pulled up to the ranch, he said, "I think I understand." Clara wanted to ask what he understood, but she was afraid of the answer. That night, she counted their remaining supplies. 3 days of flour. Maybe 4 if she stretched it. No coffee, no salt. Lamp oil almost gone. She sat at the kitchen table with her head in her hands and let herself cry for exactly 2 minutes. Then she stopped. Crying was a luxury she couldn't afford. Someone knocked. Eli stood in the doorway, hat in his hands. "Didn't mean to intrude. Saw your lamp still burning." "Can't sleep." "Me neither." He paused. "I could ride to Cedar Bluff tomorrow. Be back by nightfall if I push hard." "And leave us here alone, no." "Then what?" Clara looked at her empty flour tin, at her son sleeping in the next room, at this man who'd stayed when he should have run. "We have to force Cross's hand, make him come at us directly instead of strangling us slow." "How?" "Water rights. He needs access to the creek that runs through my property. It's the only reliable source for miles. Right now, I let him use it because James believed in being neighborly." She laughed bitterly. "But maybe it's time to stop being neighborly." Eli was quiet for a long moment. "You fence off the creek, you start a war." "We're already at war. He just hasn't admitted it yet." "Mrs. Whitmore." "Clara, if we're going to fight together, you can call me Clara." "Clara." He tested the name, nodded. "You fence off that water, Cross will come. With men. With lawyers. Maybe with worse. Let him come. At least then we'll know what we're fighting." Eli studied her face. Then he said, "Your husband was a lucky man." "No, he wasn't. He's dead." "I meant before that." Clara's chest tightened. She looked away. "We start building the fence tomorrow. 2 days' work, maybe 3. Can you handle it?" "I can handle anything you need me to handle." She believed him. God help her, she believed him. The next morning, they started building. Clara marked the fence line while Eli dug post holes. Tommy carried water and handed them tools. It was hard work backbreaking, but it felt like fighting back. On the second day, Sheriff Dawson rode up. "Mrs. Whitmore, what are you doing?" "Building a fence. It's my property." "That creek waters half the county." "Then maybe the county should have been nicer to me." Dawson's jaw tightened. "Cross isn't going to like this." "I'm not particularly concerned with what Cross likes." "You're making a mistake. So everyone keeps telling me, but it's still my mistake to make." Dawson looked at Eli. "You putting her up to this?" "No, sir, I'm just following orders." "Orders?" Dawson spat in the dirt. "You're going to get her killed, you know that. You and that boy." "No, sir, I'm going to keep them alive. That's the job." Dawson rode away muttering curses. Clara didn't care. She went back to work. By evening, the fence was half finished. Clara's hands were blistered. Eli's shoulders were tight with exhaustion. Tommy had fallen asleep under a tree. "We'll finish tomorrow," Clara said. "Yeah." Eli looked at the fence, at the creek beyond it. "You know Cross is going to come tonight." "I know." "You wanted me to stay up. Keep watch." "No. Get some sleep. You'll need your strength tomorrow." But neither of them slept. Clara lay awake listening to the night sounds, waiting for hoofbeats. Eli sat in the barn, with his rifle across his knees, watching the road. Nothing happened. Not that night. The next day they finished the fence. It wasn't pretty, but it was solid. Clara hammered in the last post and stepped back. "It's done." Eli nodded, looked toward Cross's ranch miles away. "Now we wait." They didn't wait long. Cross arrived an hour before sunset with 6 men. Cowboys, all of them. Hard men with guns on their hips and meanness in their eyes. Clara stood on her porch with Tommy behind her. Eli stood beside her, rifle visible but not raised. "Mrs. Whitmore, Cross said pleasantly. Too pleasantly. I see you've been busy. I have. That fence is blocking my water access. Your water access? Clara's voice could have cut glass. It's my creek. On my land. You've been using it because I allowed it. I don't allow it anymore. I have legal rights. Show me the papers. Cross's pleasant expression slipped. I don't need papers. It's been common use for 20 years. Then you should have formalized it. Put it in writing. Got my signature. But you didn't because you assumed I'd be too weak or too scared to say no. Clara stepped forward. I'm saying no. Cross's men shifted. Hands drifted toward guns. Don't, Eli said quietly. Not a threat. Just a fact. You think you can take all of us? One of the cowboys sneered. No, but I can take 3 of you before I go down. Question is which 3 want to die over water rights? Nobody moved. Cross held up a hand. Gentlemen, we're civilized people. Mrs. Whitmore, you're making a very serious error in judgment. I'm making a stand. You're making yourself an enemy of everyone in this county. I already was. At least now I'm honest about it. Cross's face went hard. You have 48 hours to remove that fence. If you don't, I'll remove it myself. You set foot on my property again, I'll shoot you for trespassing. Bold words for a woman alone. She ain't alone, Eli said. Cross looked at him properly for the first time. Really looked. Saw the scars. The stillness. The soldier under the drifter's clothes. Who are you? Nobody important. You served. I did. 10th Cavalry. Yes, sir. Cross's expression shifted. Not respect exactly, but recognition. He'd fought in the war. He knew what soldiers looked like. You're throwing your life away for 40 acres and a woman who can't pay you, Cross said. Maybe, but it's my life to throw. Cross stared at them both. Then he turned his horse. 48 hours, Mrs. Whitmore. Then we're coming through that fence, with or without your permission. He rode away. His men followed. Tommy came out from behind Clara. Mama, I'm scared. Me too, baby. What are we going to do? Clara looked at Eli. Eli looked at the fence. Then he said, We're going to prepare. That night, Eli taught Clara how to shoot properly. Not just pointing and pulling the trigger, but aiming, breathing, making every bullet count. You got 6 shots, he said. Make them matter. Don't shoot to scare. Shoot to stop. I've never shot a man. Hope you never have to. But if it comes to it, don't hesitate. Hesitation gets you killed. Clara's hands trembled. I don't know if I can. You can. For him. Eli nodded toward Tommy sleeping inside. You'd do anything for him. Yeah, I would. Then you can shoot a man who's trying to take your home. Clara practiced until her arms ached. Until she could hit a can at 30 feet. Until Eli nodded approval. That'll do. Now get some sleep. What about you? I'll keep watch. Eli, you can't stay awake for 48 hours. I've done worse. Clara wanted to argue, but she was so tired. Bone tired. Soul tired. Wake me in 4 hours. We'll take turns. Eli nodded. Clara went inside. Lay down fully clothed with her rifle beside her. Closed her eyes. Woke to gunfire. She bolted upright. Ran to the window. Saw flames in the barn. Saw men on horseback. Saw Eli firing from behind the water trough. Tommy! Clara screamed. Stay in your room! She grabbed her rifle. Ran outside. A bullet whipped past her head. She dropped, crawled to the porch railing, found cover. How many? She shouted. 4. Eli's voice came back. Maybe 5. Clara saw movement. Aimed. Fired. A man fell from his horse. She'd shot someone. Actually shot someone. No time to think about it. Another rider charged toward the barn. Clara fired again. Missed. Fired again. Hit the horse. It went down screaming. "Cease fire!" a voice shouted. "Cease fire!" The shooting stopped. Clara's ears rang in the sudden silence. Sheriff Dawson rode forward, hands raised. "Everybody stop. Right now." Eli stood slowly, kept his rifle ready. "What the hell is going on here?" Dawson demanded. "They attacked us," Clara said. Her voice shook. "We were defending our property." "That true?" Dawson looked at Cross's men. One of them, clutching his shoulder where Clara's bullet had grazed him, spat blood. "We were removing an illegal fence. She shot first." "That's a lie," Clara shouted. "You set fire to my barn. Prove it." Dawson looked at the burning barn, at the fence, at Eli still standing with his rifle. "Mrs. Whitmore, I'm going to have to ask you and your hired man to come into town. Answer some questions." "About what? Defending my own property?" "About discharging firearms in a residential dispute." "Residential dispute? They tried to kill us." "That's to be determined. Now put down the rifle." Clara looked at Eli. He shook his head fractionally. "Don't trust this." "Sheriff," Eli said carefully, "if we come with you, who protects the boy?" Dawson hesitated. "The boy can stay with who? The people who just tried to burn his house down." "Nobody tried to burn. The barn's still on fire, Sheriff. You can see it from here." Dawson looked genuinely conflicted for the first time. "I'm trying to keep the peace, Storm." "No, you're trying to keep Cross happy. There's a difference. Watch yourself." "I am watching. Watching you let a rich man terrorize a widow and her child." Dawson's face flushed. "That's enough." "When is enough enough?" "Sheriff, when they kill her, when they kill the boy, or when they kill me, and you can pretend you didn't see it happen." The words hung in the air like smoke. "Everybody go home," Dawson said finally. "We'll sort this out in the morning." "What about my barn?" Clara demanded. "I'll send someone to investigate." When I get around to it." Cross's men rode away laughing. Dawson followed without another word. Clara and Eli stood in the yard watching the barn burn. Tommy appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down his face. "Mama, the chickens?" Clara's heart broke. The chickens had been in the barn, all of them. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." Tommy ran to her. She held him while he cried. Eli tried to salvage what he could from the barn, but it was too far gone. By dawn, only ashes remained. Clara sat on the porch steps numb. Eli sat beside her. Tommy slept against her shoulder, exhausted from crying. "I shot a man," Clara said. "You did." "I don't feel bad about it." "You shouldn't. He was trying to kill you." "Does that make me evil?" "Makes you a survivor." Clara looked at the burned barn, at her fence still standing, at Eli's profile in the growing light. "They're going to come back." "I know. Next time they'll bring more men." "Probably." "We can't win, can we?" Eli was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Maybe not the way you think winning looks, but we can make it cost them. Make them bleed for every inch. Make them remember you." "I don't want to be remembered. I want to be left alone." "Too late for that." Clara laughed. It came out bitter. "Yeah, too late." As the sun rose, Reverend Gaines arrived in his buggy. Clara stood instantly wary. "What do you want?" Gaines stepped down. He looked older than she remembered, tired. "I came to see if you were all right. I heard there was trouble." "Trouble. That's one word for it. May I?" He gestured to the porch. Clara nodded reluctantly. Gaines sat. Eli stood behind Clara, protective. "I owe you an apology, Mrs. Whitmore," Gaines said. "I've been unkind, in my sermons, in my judgment of you." Clara's jaw dropped. "Is this a joke?" "No, I've been praying on it, asking God what he would want me to do. And I don't think he'd want me to condemn a woman for loving the wrong man or for raising her son alone after tragedy." He paused. I think he'd want me to help. Help how? I can speak to the congregation. Tell them what's happening here. Rally support. Your congregation threw rocks at me, Reverend. They called me a whore in front of my son. Gaines flinched. Not all of them. Some people are they're afraid. Cross has power. But there are good people too. People who'll stand with you if someone leads them. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. I haven't earned it. But Mrs. Whitmore, if you let this fight be just you against Cross, you'll lose. You need allies. I'm offering to be one. Clara wanted to refuse, wanted to spit in his face. But Tommy stirred against her shoulder, and she thought about what would happen when Cross came back. What do you want in return? Nothing, except maybe... Gaines looked at his hands. Maybe forgiveness. Someday. When I've earned it. Eli stepped forward. Reverend, you were in the war? I was. Chaplain. 4th Infantry. Then you saw what men do when they think God's on their side. I did. It's why I became a preacher. To try to make amends. You can't make amends for war, Reverend. You can only try not to start new ones. Gaines nodded slowly. You're right. And this thing with Cross. It's going to be war. People are going to get hurt. People are already hurt, Clara said. My barn's burned. My livestock's dead. My son had to watch men try to kill his mother. Then let me help stop it before it gets worse. Clara looked at Eli. He shrugged. Your call. Fine, Clara said. Talk to your congregation. See who'll stand with us. But Reverend, if this is a trick, it's not. You have my word. The word of a man who called me a sinner from his pulpit. Gaines stood. The word of a man who's trying to be better. That's all any of us can do, Mrs. Whitmore. Try to be better than we were yesterday. He left. Clara watched him go, uncertain. You think he means it? She asked Eli. I think he's scared. Scared men sometimes find courage, or they find new ways to be cowards. Eli looked at her. We'll find out which one he is. That Sunday, Clara didn't go to church, hadn't been since James died. But Eli went, sat in the back, listened. He came back and told her what happened. Gaines had preached about mercy, about standing with the powerless, about how Jesus defended the widow and the orphan. Some people walked out, but others stayed, and a handful, nodded agreement. How many? Clara asked. Maybe 10, 15 if we're lucky. That's not enough. It's more than we had yesterday. Clara wanted to believe it mattered, but when she looked at her burned barn, and her empty chicken coop, and her son's too quiet face, she couldn't find hope. That night, Cross made his next move. Not violence this time. Something worse. Tommy disappeared. Clara had put him to bed, checked on him like always, then gone to sleep herself. When she woke, his room was empty. She screamed, ran outside. Eli came running from the barn. Tommy's gone. They searched the house, the yard, the fields, called his name until their voices were raw. Nothing. Could he have wandered off? Eli asked. No, never. He's too scared of the dark. Then someone took him. Clara's legs gave out. She fell to her knees in the dirt. No, 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 no. Eli caught her, held her up. Listen to me. Listen, we'll find him. I swear to God we'll find him. How he could be anywhere. Cross wants leverage. He won't hurt the boy, not yet. He'll make a trade. Your land for your son. Clara's vision swam. She wanted to vomit, wanted to die, wanted to burn the world down. Then I'll give him the land. No. Yes, I don't care about the land. I care about Tommy. If you give him the land, what's to stop him from keeping Tommy anyway, making sure neither of you can testify against him? The truth of it hit Clara like a fist. Then what do I do? Eli's face went hard. You let me handle this. What does that mean? It means I'm going to Cross's ranch, and I'm going to get your son back. They'll kill you. Maybe, but I'll get Tommy out first. Eli. Clara. He held her shoulders, looked in her eyes. This is what I do. What I was trained to do. Trust me. She wanted to. God, she wanted to. But everyone she'd ever trusted had left her. Promise me you'll come back, she whispered. You and Tommy. Promise me. Eli hesitated. Then he lied. I promise. He kissed her forehead, grabbed his rifle, mounted his horse. Clara watched him ride toward Cross's ranch, toward almost certain death, and prayed to a God she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. Please, please let them come home. The night stretched forever. Clara paced, loaded and reloaded her rifle. Waited. As dawn broke, she heard horses. She ran outside, saw Eli riding hard with Tommy in front of him on the saddle. Behind them, a dozen riders gaining ground. Get inside, Eli shouted. Bar the door. Not without you. Eli reached the porch, handed Tommy down. Run! Clara grabbed her son. He was alive, conscious, sobbing but alive. Eli wheeled his horse, fired at the pursuers, bought them seconds. They ran inside. Eli slammed the door, threw the bolt. How many? Clara asked. 10, maybe more. Eli checked his rifle. 3 bullets left. You got ammunition. In the cabinet. Glass shattered. A window exploded inward. Clara shoved Tommy into the bedroom. Eli fired through the broken window. They're surrounding us, Clara shouted. I know, a voice called from outside. Send out the soldier and we'll let you and the boy live. Clara looked at Eli. His face was set, resigned. Don't, Clara said. Don't you dare. It's the only way. No, we fight together, all of us, or none of us. Eli's eyes glistened. You're asking me to let you die. I'm asking you to let me choose. For once in my life, let me choose. He nodded, handed her a rifle. They stood back to back waiting. Then they heard it, church bells, ringing in the distance, and hoofbeats, lots of them. Reverend Gaines appeared on the road with 20 men, 20 townspeople, armed, angry. That's enough, Cross, Gaines shouted. It's over. Sheriff Dawson was with them, finally doing his job. Cross's men hesitated. The odds had shifted. Stand down, Dawson ordered. All of you. Slowly, reluctantly, guns were lowered. Clara's legs gave out again, this time from relief. Eli caught her, held her. Tommy ran out, wrapped his arms around both of them. Mama, Papa, don't let go. Clara froze. Papa. He'd called Eli Papa. Eli looked at her over Tommy's head. His eyes asked a question. Clara nodded. Yes, if that's what he wants. If that's what you want. I won't let go, son, Eli said quietly. Never again. Cross didn't leave. He sat on his horse, staring at the 20 townspeople who'd shown up to stop him. His face was stone, but Clara saw his jaw working, saw the calculation in his eyes. This doesn't concern you people, Cross said. It concerns all of us, Gaines replied. His voice shook, but he didn't back down. You took a child. You burned property. You terrorized a widow. I'm protecting my water rights. By kidnapping an 8-year-old boy. Cross's face flushed. He wasn't harmed. That's supposed to make it right? This from Martha Green. Clara's head snapped around. Martha stood with the others holding an old hunting rifle. You crossed a line, Nathaniel. Martha. Don't. I've kept quiet. Let you push people around. Let you buy up half the county. But stealing children... Martha's voice cracked. That's where I draw the line. Cross looked around at the faces. People he'd done business with. People who owed him money. People who'd been afraid. They weren't afraid anymore. Not enough to stay silent. Sheriff, Cross said tightly, Are you going to arrest anyone? Dawson shifted in his saddle, looked at Cross, at Clara, at the burned barn and the broken window. Yeah, I am. He pulled out handcuffs. Nathaniel Cross, you're under arrest for kidnapping, arson, and attempted murder. Cross's men reached for their guns. 20 rifles came up in response. Don't, Dawson said. Please don't. Nobody else needs to die today. Cross raised his hand. His men lowered their weapons. This isn't over, Cross said as Dawson cuffed him. Yeah, Clara said. It is. They took Cross away. His men scattered. The townspeople lingered uncertain now that the moment had passed. Martha approached the porch. Mrs. Whitmore, I'm sorry. For the store. For everything. Clara wanted to tell her to go to hell, wanted to spit at her feet the way men had spit at Clara's, but Tommy was watching, learning how his mother handled victory. Thank you for coming, Clara said. That took courage. Not enough. Not soon enough. Martha's eyes were red. My sister died alone. No husband. A baby out of wedlock. I watched people treat her the way I treated you. Watched her give that baby away because she couldn't stand the shame. I swore I'd never... Her voice broke. I'm sorry. Clara nodded. Didn't forgive. Wasn't ready for that, but acknowledged. Martha left. Others came forward. Awkward apologies. Offers to help rebuild the barn. Clara accepted them all with weary grace. When the last one left, she sagged against the doorframe. Eli caught her. You all right? No, but I will be. That's good enough. Tommy tugged Eli's sleeve. Papa, are the bad men gone? Clara's breath caught. Papa, again. Eli knelt down. Yeah, son. They're gone. Forever. I don't know about forever, but for a good long while. Tommy considered this. If they come back, will you be here? Eli looked at Clara. She saw the question in his eyes, the same question from before. Yes, Eli said. I'll be here. Promise? I promise. Tommy hugged him. Eli's arms came around the boy slowly, carefully, like he was holding something precious that might break. Clara turned away so they wouldn't see her cry. That night, after Tommy fell asleep, Clara and Eli sat on the porch. The stars were out. The wind was cold. Everything hurt. You went into Cross's ranch alone, Clara said. That was stupid. I know. You could have died. I know. Don't do it again. Can't promise that. Clara's hands clenched. Why not? Because if someone takes Tommy again, I'll do it again. Every time. Until I can't anymore. That's not... Clara's voice broke. That's not how this works. You can't throw your life away for us. Why not? It's my life. Because Tommy needs you. I need... She stopped. Couldn't say it. Eli turned to look at her. You need what? Nothing. Forget it. Clara. I said forget it. You need me. Eli said quietly. Is that what you were going to say? Clara's throat closed. She nodded. Then why's that so hard to admit? Because everyone I need leaves, dies, disappears, and I can't do that again. I can't watch you die. Eli reached for her hand. She let him take it. I can't promise I won't die, he said. Nobody can promise that. But I can promise I won't leave, not by choice, not ever. How can you know that? Because I've been running for 6 years, running from memories, from guilt, from everything that mattered. And then I found you, and Tommy, and a reason to stop running. He squeezed her hand. You asked me why I stayed, that's why. Because for the first time since I lost my family, I found something worth staying for. Clara looked at their joined hands. At the calluses on his palm that matched the ones on hers. Working hands, surviving hands. I'm terrified, she whispered. Of what? Of this. Of wanting this. Of thinking maybe we could. She couldn't finish. Could what be a family? Clara's tears spilled over. Yes, and then losing it, losing you. You won't lose me. You can't know that. No, but I can choose it. Every day. I can wake up and choose to stay. Choose you. Choose Tommy. Choose this life. He lifted her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles. I'm choosing Clara. I'm here. I'm staying. She wanted to believe him, wanted it so badly it physically hurt. What if I'm not enough? She asked. What if you wake up one day and realize you made a mistake? That you could have had better somewhere else? Eli laughed. Actually laughed. Better than what? Better than a woman who faced down Cross with 3 bullets and no backup. Better than a boy who calls me Papa, even though he barely knows me. Better than a place that feels like home for the first time in 6 years. He shook his head. There is no better, Clara. There's just this. And this is everything I want. Clara kissed him. Didn't plan it. Didn't think about it. Just leaned forward and kissed him like she was drowning and he was air. He kissed her back. Gentle at first, then deeper. His hand cupped her face, her fingers tangled in his hair. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Eli rested his forehead against hers. Marry me, he said. Clara froze. What? Marry me. Not for protection, not for property rights, not for anything except because I love you, and I think maybe you love me too. Eli. You don't have to answer now. Think about it. But Clara, I'm done pretending this is just a job. Done pretending I'm here for the wages. I'm here for you. Clara pulled back, looked at his face in the moonlight. Saw the truth there. The vulnerability. You really mean it. Every word. Even though I come with a traumatized son and a burned barn and 40 acres of trouble, especially because of all that. Clara wanted to say yes. Wanted to throw caution away and just say yes, but fear held her tongue. Ask me again, she said. When Cross is actually in prison, when we're not waiting for the next attack, when things are safer. Eli's face fell, just for a moment. Then he nodded. All right, I can wait. You're not angry. How could I be angry? You just kissed me like the world was ending. That's answer enough for now. Clara smiled despite everything. You're a patient man, Eli Storm. Had a lot of practice waiting for things worth having. They sat together until the cold drove them inside. Eli went to the barn. Clara went to her bedroom. But neither of them slept. The next week blurred. Townspeople came to help rebuild the barn. Not everyone, not even most, but enough. Martha brought supplies from the store wouldn't take payment. Gaines organized work crews. Even Sheriff Dawson stopped by to check on them. Cross made bail, Dawson said. Trial's set for 6 weeks from now. Clara's stomach dropped. He's out. Judge set it at $10,000. Cross paid it without blinking. So he's free to come after us again. I've got a deputy watching his place, and another watching yours. He tries anything, we'll know. That's supposed to make me feel safe. It's the best I can do, Mrs. Whitmore. After Dawson left, Clara found Eli in the barn. He's out. I know, saw Dawson ride up. We're not safe. We never were. But we're safer than we were. Eli hammered a nail. Trial's in 6 weeks. If Cross gets convicted, he loses everything. His ranch, his reputation, maybe his freedom. And if he doesn't, then we deal with that when it comes. Clara wanted to scream, wanted to run, wanted to grab Tommy and disappear into the territories where no one knew them. But she was done running. I'm testifying, she said. At the trial, I'm going to tell everyone what he did. Eli stopped hammering. That'll make you a target. I'm already a target. They'll try to discredit you, call you a liar, bring up your past. Let them. I'm done being ashamed of surviving. Eli smiled. There's the Clara I know. You mean the stubborn one. I mean the strong one. Tommy appeared in the barn door. Mama, Papa, I'm hungry. They went inside. Clara made dinner, actual dinner with meat Martha had brought, and vegetables from the root cellar. Tommy ate like he hadn't seen food in days. Slow down, baby. You'll make yourself sick. But it's so good, Mama. Clara's heart squeezed. When was the last time Tommy had said something was good? When was the last time he'd smiled? After dinner, Eli taught Tommy to play checkers. Clara watched from the kitchen pretending to wash dishes while her heart quietly shattered and rebuilt itself. This was what she'd been fighting for. Not the land, not the water rights. This. Tommy laughed when Eli let him win. Eli laughed too. The sound filled the house like music. That night, Tommy asked Eli to tuck him in. Clara stood in the doorway watching. Papa, will you tell me about your son? Eli went still. Clara held her breath. His name was Samuel. Eli said finally. He was 6 when he died, about your age. What was he like? Brave, curious. Asked a million questions about everything. Eli's voice roughened. He looked like his mother. Had her eyes, her smile. Do you miss him? Every day. Tommy was quiet for a moment. Then, is it okay if I call you Papa, even though I'm not him? Eli's face crumpled. He pulled Tommy into a hug. You're not replacing him, son. You're giving me a reason to be a papa again. And yeah, it's more than okay. Clara left before they saw her crying. Went to her room. Sat on the bed with her face in her hands. A knock. Eli stood in the doorway. You all right? He called you Papa in front of me. Really meant it. I know. If you leave now, if you change your mind about staying, it'll destroy him. I know that too. So don't leave, please. Whatever happens, don't leave. Eli crossed the room, knelt in front of her, took her hands. I'm not James. I can't replace him. Can't be who he was. I don't want you to be James. I want you to be you. Even though I've got ghosts. Even though I wake up some nights thinking I hear my son crying. Even though all that. Because I've got ghosts too. And maybe we can carry them together. Eli stood, pulled her up, held her against his chest. She felt his heartbeat. Steady, real. 6 weeks, he said. We get through the trial. Make sure Cross pays for what he did. Then I'm asking you again, and I want you to say yes. What if I say no? Then I'll ask again the next day, and the day after, until you believe I'm not going anywhere. Clara smiled against his shirt. That's harassment, Mr. Storm. That's persistence, Mrs. Whitmore. They stood like that until Tommy called out from his room. Nightmare. They both went to him, sat on either side of his bed until he fell asleep again. Clara looked at Eli across their sleeping son. Saw the future she wanted. The family she'd thought she'd lost forever. If they could just survive 6 more weeks. The weeks crawled. Cross stayed away. But his presence hung over everything. Clara jumped at every sound. Eli slept with his rifle. Tommy had nightmares 3 times a week. The town split. Half the people sided with Clara. Half stayed loyal to Cross. Fights broke out at the saloon. The church congregation dwindled as people chose sides. Gaines kept preaching about mercy, about justice, about standing up to power. Martha reopened credit for Clara. Other shopkeepers followed. Slowly, painfully, Clara rebuilt her life. The barn went up. New chickens arrived. The fence stayed up. The creek stayed blocked. And Eli stayed. He taught Tommy to ride, to shoot, to work leather and mend fences and read tracts. All the things a father teaches a son. Clara watched them together and felt her last defenses crumble. She was in love with Eli Storm. Completely. Terrifyingly. Irreversibly in love. And that scared her more than Cross ever had. One night, 3 weeks before the trial, Clara found Eli sitting by the creek. The water rushed past cold and clean. "Can't sleep," she asked. "Thinking." "About what?" "About Cross. About the trial." He paused. "About what happens if he gets acquitted." "He won't. Too many witnesses. Witnesses can be bought, intimidated, made to disappear." Clara's blood chilled. "You think he'd—" "I think a man who'd kidnap a child would do anything to avoid prison." "Then what do we do?" Eli looked at her. "We prepare. For anything." "How?" "I've got friends. Old cavalry buddies. Men who owe me favors. I've sent word. If things go bad at the trial, they'll be there." "You're building an army." "I'm building insurance." Clara sat beside him. Their shoulders touched. "I don't want to live like this," she said. "Always afraid. Always waiting for the next attack." "Neither do I." "Then let's end it. Not at the trial. Now." Eli looked at her sharply. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we go to Cross. We negotiate. We find a way to end this that doesn't involve blood." "Clara, I know it's risky. I know he might refuse, but I have to try. For Tommy. I can't let him grow up in a war zone." Eli was silent for a long time. "If we do this, we do it smart. Public place. Witnesses. No chances." "Agreed." "And if he refuses, then we finish it at the trial." They shook hands like business partners. But when Clara stood to leave, Eli pulled her back, kissed her hard and desperate. "Whatever happens," he said, "I love you. Need you to know that." "I love you too," Clara said, and meant it, and wasn't afraid anymore. They arranged the meeting through Dawson. Public. The church. Gaines present as mediator. Witnesses from both sides. Cross arrived in his finest suit. Clara wore her only dress. Eli stood beside her in his cavalry coat, brass buttons polished. Tommy stayed with Martha. Safer that way. They sat across from each other in the front pew. Gaines between them. "Mr. Cross," Gaines began, "Mrs. Whitmore has requested this meeting to discuss a potential resolution. She wants to sell." Cross interrupted, finally seeing sense. "No," Clara said. "I want peace." Cross laughed. "Same thing." "It's not. I'm offering you legal water rights. In writing. Signed and notarized. You can use the creek. Build an irrigation system. Whatever you need." Cross leaned back. In exchange for dropping all claims to my land, admitting what you did, and leaving my family alone." "Family," Cross sneered. "You mean that soldier? That—" "Careful," Eli said softly. Cross's jaw clenched. "You think you can threaten me. I think I can state facts. You kidnapped a child. You burned property. You attempted murder. That's 15 years minimum in a federal prison, maybe more. If you can prove it." "I was there," Clara said. "So was Tommy. So were a dozen townspeople. You're a hysterical widow. The boy's traumatized. And those townspeople, half of them owe me money." "Then you're confident you'll win at trial?" "Very," Clara smiled. "Then why are you here?" Cross went still. "You're here because you're scared," Clara continued. "Scared that maybe, just maybe, the jury will believe us. That you'll lose everything. Your ranch, your reputation, your freedom." "I'm not scared of you." "No, you're scared of consequences. Of finally facing punishment for all the people you've crushed on your way up." Cross stood. "This meeting is over." "Sit down," Eli said. Didn't raise his voice. Didn't move. But something in his tone made Cross hesitate. "We came here in good faith," Eli said, "offering you a way out, a way to keep your water, keep your land, keep your freedom. All you have to do is admit the truth and leave us alone. And if I refuse, then we see you in court, and I'll make sure every newspaper from here to Denver knows exactly what kind of man Nathaniel Cross is." Cross's face went red. You think anyone cares what Eli moved, fast, had Cross by the throat before anyone could blink. Say it, Eli whispered. Go ahead, say what you want to say. Give me a reason. Gaines jumped between them. Gentlemen, please. Eli released Cross, stepped back. His hands shook. Cross rubbed his throat. You just assaulted me, in front of witnesses. You were about to say something that needed stopping, Gaines said firmly. Everyone here knows it. Cross looked around. At the witnesses, at their faces, saw no sympathy. You're all against me. No, Clara said. We're all just done. Done with fear. Done with bullying. Done with you. Cross straightened his jacket, walked to the door, turned back. The trial's in 3 weeks. I'll see you there. And Mrs. Whitmore. When I win, and I will win, I'm taking everything. Your land, your livestock, your dignity. Everything. He left. The door slammed. Clara sagged. Eli caught her. Well, Gaines said quietly, that went poorly. No, Clara said, that went perfect. How do you figure? Because now everyone here heard him threaten me, heard him almost say. She looked at Eli. They heard enough. The witnesses nodded. They'd testify, all of them. But as they left the church, Eli pulled Clara aside. He's not going to let this go to trial. What do you mean? I mean he's going to come at us, hard, before the trial, before these witnesses can testify. You really think? I know. I've seen men like Cross before. Powerful men backed into corners. They don't surrender. They burn everything down. Clara's stomach twisted. Then what do? We prepare for war. That night, Eli's friends arrived. 5 of them. Buffalo soldiers, everyone. Hard men with hard eyes and harder stories. They set up camp around the property, watching, waiting. Clara felt safer, but also more afraid. Because if Eli was right, if Cross was planning one last attack this time, people were going to die. She lay awake that night listening to Tommy breathe in the next room, listening to Eli move around outside, listening to her own heart pound. 3 weeks until the trial. 3 weeks to survive. But in her gut, Clara knew they didn't have 3 weeks. Cross was coming. Soon. And when he did, everything would burn. Cross came on the 9th night. Clara woke to Eli's hand over her mouth. His eyes said everything. She nodded. He removed his hand. How many? She whispered. 20, maybe more. They're surrounding the property. Clara's blood turned to ice. She ran to Tommy's room, shook him awake gently. Baby, wake up. We need to go to the cellar. Tommy's eyes went wide. The bad men. Yes, but Papa's friends are here. We'll be safe. She carried him downstairs. The cellar door was already open. Eli's friends had fortified it. Supplies, water, rifles. Stay down here, Eli said. No matter what you hear, don't come out until I come get you. Eli. He kissed her, hard and fast and desperate. I love you. Remember that. Then he was gone. Clara held Tommy in the darkness, heard footsteps overhead, shouting, then gunfire. Tommy buried his face in her shoulder. Clara sang to him, softly, the lullaby James used to sing. Her voice shook, but she didn't stop. The gunfire intensified. Explosions. Men screaming. The house shook. Mama, I'm scared. Me too, baby. Me too. Something crashed overhead. Smoke filtered down. The house was burning. Clara made a decision. Grabbed the rifle Eli had left. Tommy, stay behind me. We're going up. But Papa said, I know what Papa said. But the house is on fire. We can't stay. She pushed open the cellar door. Smoke everywhere. Flames eating the kitchen walls. She pulled Tommy through. They crawled toward the front door. A man appeared through the smoke. One of Cross's men. He raised his gun. Clara shot first. He went down. She'd killed someone. Again. No time to think about it. They made it outside. The yard was chaos. Eli and his friends fighting Cross's men. Bodies on the ground. Blood in the dirt. There, someone shouted. The woman and the boy. 3 men ran toward them. Clara fired. Missed. Fired again. Hit one. Then Eli was there. Moving like violence itself. Disarmed one man. Shot another. The third ran. I told you to stay in the cellar. The house is burning. Eli looked back. Flames consumed the roof. Everything they'd built. Everything they'd fought for. Gone. Get to the barn, Eli shouted. Now. They ran. Tommy stumbled. Clara picked him up. A bullet whipped past her head. Another hit the ground at her feet. They made it to the barn. Eli slammed the door, barricaded it. How many left? Clara asked. Too many. Eli checked his rifle. We're outnumbered. Then what do? We hold until Dawson gets here. What if he doesn't come? Eli looked at her. Then we die fighting. Tommy started crying. Clara held him close. Hush, baby. It's going to be okay. But she didn't believe it. Couldn't make herself believe it. Men surrounded the barn. Their voices carried through the walls. Burn it! Someone shouted. Burn them out like rats. No. Another voice. Cross's voice. I want them alive. I want them to watch everything they love turn to ash. Then I'll kill them. Clara's hands shook. Eli reloaded methodically. One of his friends, a man named Jacob, moved to the window. They're bringing torches, Jacob said. How many? 6. No, 7. Can you hit them from here? Maybe 2. 3 if I'm lucky. Eli looked at Clara. When they light the barn, we'll have maybe 5 minutes before the smoke gets too thick. We'll need to make a run for it. To where? The creek. If we can make it to the water, we've got cover. Fighting chance. Clara wanted to argue. Wanted to find another way. But there was no other way. Okay. Eli turned to Tommy. Knelt down. Listen to me, son. When I say run, you run as fast as you can. Don't look back. Don't stop. Just run to the water. Can you do that? Tommy nodded. His face was pale, eyes too big. You're brave, Eli said. Braver than any soldier I ever knew. Your mama, too. We're all going to be brave together. All right. All right, Papa. Eli stood, touched Clara's face. Whatever happens, don't say goodbye. I'm saying I'll see you on the other side of this, one way or another. Flames appeared at the barn walls. Smoke poured in. The heat intensified. Now! Eli kicked open the door. They ran. Eli first. Jacob second. Clara carrying Tommy. 2 more soldiers behind them. Gunfire erupted. Jacob went down. One of the soldiers behind Clara screamed and fell. Don't stop! Eli shouted. Clara ran harder than she'd ever run. Tommy felt like a sack of lead in her arms. Her lungs burned. Her legs screamed. 50 feet to the creek. 40. 30. Someone tackled her from the side. She and Tommy went down hard. The rifle flew from her hands. A man loomed over them, raised his gun. Clara covered Tommy with her body. The shot never came. Eli appeared. Smashed the man's face with the butt of his rifle. The man dropped. Get up! Move! They reached the creek. Plunged into the icy water. The current grabbed them. Clara held Tommy's head above water. Eli grabbed them both. Pulled them behind a boulder. Stay down! Bullets sparked off the rock. Water sprayed. Clara's teeth chattered. Tommy clung to her silent now. Shock, probably. 3 of Eli's friends made it to the creek. 3 didn't. Clara had watched them fall. Watched them die. For her. for a piece of land that was burning to the ground. "We can't stay here," Jacob shouted. He was bleeding from his shoulder but still fighting. "They'll flank us." "I know." Eli fired twice. Hit something. Someone screamed. "We need to get downstream out of range. We'll be exposed." "We're exposed now." Clara looked at Tommy, at his blue lips and shaking body. They couldn't stay in the water. He'd die of cold before Cross's men could shoot him. "Go," she shouted. "I'll cover you." "Clara, I said go. I'm not losing my son." Eli hesitated, then nodded. "On 3. 1, 2, 3. They moved downstream, using rocks for cover. Clara fired blindly, didn't care if she hit anything, just needed to make noise, make Cross's men keep their heads down. A bullet hit the water next to her, another grazed her arm. She felt the burn, kept shooting. Then her rifle clicked empty. Damn it. A man appeared on the bank, aimed directly at her. Clara closed her eyes. The shot came from behind her. The man fell. Clara spun around. Sheriff Dawson stood on the opposite bank with a rifle. Behind him, 30 men. Townspeople. Armed. Angry. "Cease fire!" Dawson bellowed. "Cease fire or I'll shoot every last one of you." The gunfire stopped. Cross's men looked at each other. At the bodies. At the burning ranch. At the overwhelming force suddenly against them. They ran, scattered into the night like cockroaches. Cross stood alone, watching his men flee. Then he looked at Clara, at Eli, at Tommy shivering in the water. "This isn't over," he said. "Yeah," Dawson said, cuffing him again. "It is. Nathaniel Cross, you're under arrest. Again. And this time, there's no bail." They pulled Clara and Tommy from the water. Someone wrapped blankets around them. Martha appeared with hot coffee. Gaines was there too, his face grim. "Tommy needs a doctor," Clara said through chattering teeth. "He's freezing." "I'll take him," Martha said. "My buggy's right here. I'm going with him." "Clara," Eli's voice. "Let Martha take him. We need to talk to Dawson." "I'm not leaving my son." "I know, but we need to give statements, now, while everything's fresh. It's important." Clara looked at Tommy, at his pale face and glazed eyes. "Go with Miss Martha, baby. I'll be right behind you, I promise." Tommy nodded, too exhausted to argue. Martha carried him away. Clara watched until they disappeared. Then she turned to Dawson. "He tried to kill us. All of us. You saw it." "I did. And I've got 30 witnesses who saw it too." Dawson looked at the burning house, at the bodies, at Cross standing in handcuffs. "He's done. Finished. Even his money can't buy him out of this." "When's the trial?" "Soon as the circuit judge gets here. Week. Maybe 2. And until then, he stays in jail. No bail. I'll sleep in the cell with him if I have to." Clara nodded, felt her legs give out. Eli caught her. "Easy. You're in shock." "My house is gone. Everything's gone." "You're alive. Tommy's alive. That's what matters." Clara laughed. It came out hysterical. "That's what matters. I have nothing, Eli. No home, no money, no... You have me." She stopped, looked at him. "You have me," he said again. "And Tommy. And a town full of people who just risked their lives for you. That's not nothing." Clara wanted to believe him, wanted to feel grateful instead of devastated. But all she felt was numb. The doctor confirmed Tommy would be fine. Cold, traumatized, but physically fine. Clara stayed with him in Martha's spare room. Wouldn't leave his side. Eli came by every few hours. Brought food Clara didn't eat. Updates she barely heard. He was building something, a new structure on the ranch property, using salvaged materials from the burned house. "You don't have to do that," Clara said. "Yeah, I do." "Why?" "Because it's your land, your home, and I'm not letting Cross take that from you." "Eli, there's nothing left to take. There's everything left, the land, the water, the fight." He knelt beside her chair. You told Cross you weren't giving up. You meant it. So now we rebuild. Together. Clara looked at him. At this man who'd stayed when any sane person would have run, who'd fought beside her, who'd promised to be there, who'd kept that promise even when it nearly killed him. Ask me again, she said. What? Ask me. The question from before. Eli's eyes widened. Clara, ask me. He took her hands. Marry me. Be my wife. Let me be Tommy's father. Let us be a family. Real and legal and permanent. Yes. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. I want to marry you. I want... Her voice broke. I want to stop being afraid. I want to stop waiting for you to leave. I want to believe in this. In us. Eli kissed her, soft and gentle and full of promise. Tommy stirred in the bed. Mama? Clara went to him. I'm here, baby. Is Papa here too? I'm here, son, Eli said. Tommy smiled. Good. I had a dream we were a real family, with a house and everything. We will be, Clara said, soon. How soon? Eli and Clara looked at each other. How about as soon as you're feeling better, Clara said. We'll have a wedding. Nothing fancy, just us and the people who matter. Can I wear my good shirt? You can wear whatever you want. Tommy closed his eyes. Okay, that's good. He fell back asleep. Clara and Eli sat on either side of his bed, holding hands across their son. The trial happened 2 weeks later. Cross had hired expensive lawyers from Denver. They argued self-defense, argued that Clara had provoked him, that Eli was a dangerous drifter, that the townspeople were biased. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty, on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 20 years. Federal prison. No parole. Cross's face went white. You can't. This is a mistake. I have rights. You lost your rights when you terrorized innocent people, the judge said. Take him away. They dragged Cross out. He was screaming, threatening, promising revenge. Clara watched him go and felt nothing. Not relief, not triumph, just exhaustion. Outside the courthouse, townspeople gathered. Some cheered. Some looked uncomfortable. Some left without a word. Martha hugged Clara. It's over. It's really over. Yeah. You did it. You beat him. We beat him. All of us. Gaines approached. Mrs. Whitmore, I wanted to say I'm proud of you. What you did took courage. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing. He smiled. When would you like to have the wedding? Clara blinked. You'd marry us after everything? Of course. It would be an honor. Clara looked at Eli. He shrugged. Your call. Sunday, Clara said. After morning service. Small. Just family and close friends. Perfect. I'll make the arrangements. That Sunday, Clara wore her mother's dress. The one she'd gotten married to James in. It felt wrong at first, then right. James would have wanted her to be happy, would have wanted Tommy to have a father. She stood at the front of the church, Tommy beside her in his good shirt, Eli at the altar in his cavalry uniform, brass buttons polished, hair tied back. He looked nervous. Clara almost laughed. This man had faced down Cross's men without flinching, but marriage made him nervous. Gaines began the ceremony. Clara barely heard the words. Just watched Eli's face. Watched him mouth, I love you, when he thought no one was looking. Do you, Clara Whitmore, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. And do you, Elijah Storm, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Forever. I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Eli kissed her like they were the only two people in the world, like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. Tommy cheered. The small congregation applauded. Martha cried. Even Dawson smiled. They walked out into sunshine. The church bells rang. People threw rice. It felt like a normal wedding, like they were normal people with normal lives. For one perfect moment, Clara believed it. They spent their wedding night in Martha's guest room. It wasn't romantic, wasn't private, but it was theirs. Eli held Clara in the darkness. "You sorry you said yes?" "Not even a little bit. Even though we're starting with nothing." "We're not starting with nothing. We have each other. We have Tommy. We have land and water and a chance." She turned to face him. "That's more than nothing. That's everything." Eli kissed her forehead. "I'm going to make you happy, I swear it." "You already do." "I mean really happy. Big house, security, a life where you don't have to be scared." "I'm not scared anymore." "Why not?" "Because I'm not alone." They made love slowly, carefully, learning each other. Clara cried halfway through. Not from pain, from relief, from finally feeling safe enough to want this. Afterward, they lay tangled together. Eli traced patterns on her skin. "I've been thinking," he said. "About what?" "About the ranch. About rebuilding." He paused. "I want to do it right this time. Not just a house, but a real ranch. Cattle, horses, maybe some hired hands. Make it something we can pass down to Tommy." Clara's throat tightened. "That costs money." "I've got some saved. Not much, but enough to start. And I was thinking we could sell water rights to some of the smaller ranchers. Not Cross's people, but decent folks who need it. Charge fair prices, build up capital." That's actually smart." "I have my moments." Clara laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. "What?" Eli asked. "Nothing. Just, I'm happy. Actually really happy. It feels strange." "Get used to it. I plan on making you happy for a long time." "How long?" "Forever. At least." Clara kissed him. "Forever sounds perfect." The next morning they went back to the ranch, or what was left of it. The burned house. The new structure Eli had built barely more than a shack, but it had walls and a roof. Tommy ran ahead. "Is this ours now? Really ours?" "Really ours," Clara said. "Forever." Tommy whooped, started exploring, found a salamander under a rock, ran to show Eli. Clara stood in front of the burned house, looked at the ashes, at everything she'd lost, then looked at the new structure, at everything she'd gained. Eli appeared beside her. "We'll build something better, bigger, stronger." "I know. It won't be easy." "I know that too. But we'll do it together." Clara took his hand. "Yeah, together." They got to work. The town helped. Not everyone, but enough. Lumber appeared, nails, tools. People showed up on weekends to help build. The house went up slowly, one board at a time, one nail at a time. By fall they had walls. By winter they had a roof. Tommy's 9th birthday happened in their new house. Clara made a cake. Eli carved him a horse from wood. Martha brought presents. Gaines came by with a new Bible. They sang and ate and laughed. Tommy blew out his candles. "What did you wish for?" Clara asked. "Can't tell. Won't come true." "You can tell us. We're family." Tommy looked at both of them. "I wished that we could stay like this forever. Happy. Together. All three of us." Clara's eyes filled. Eli pulled Tommy into a hug. "That's a good wish, son. Best wish I ever heard." That night, Clara and Eli sat on their new porch. The rocking chair had survived the fire. Eli had salvaged it, fixed it. It sat between them now. "We did it," Clara said. "Did what?" "Survived. Built something. Made a life." "Yeah, we did." "Think Cross is rotting in prison." Hope so. Think he'll ever get out? Not for a long time. And when he does, we'll deal with it. Clara nodded. Believed it. Believed they could handle anything now. Eli. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For staying. For fighting. For choosing us. Eli reached for her hand. Thank you for letting me. For trusting me. For giving me a reason to stop running. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset, watching their son play in the yard, watching their future unfold. And for the first time in Clara's life, the future didn't look terrifying. It looked beautiful. Spring came hard that year. The kind of spring that flooded creeks and turned roads to mud and made everything impossible. Clara stood in the doorway, watching rain hammer their new roof. Testing it. So far, it held. "Mama, the garden's drowning," Tommy called from his bedroom window. "I know, baby. Nothing we can do about it." Eli came in from the barn, soaked through. Water dripped from his hat. "Lost 2 fence posts on the north side. Creek's rising fast." "How fast?" "Fast enough. If it jumps the banks, we'll lose the lower pasture." Clara's stomach nodded. They'd just planted that pasture. 3 weeks of work. If the water took it, "We can't stop a flood, Eli." "No, but we can dig channels, redirect the worst of it." He grabbed dry clothes. "I'm going back out. Jacob and the others are already working." In this weather. Especially in this weather. Clara watched him go. Felt that old fear creep back. The fear of losing. Of watching everything they'd built wash away. Tommy appeared at her elbow. "Can I help, Papa?" "No, too dangerous." "But I want to help." "I know. But sometimes helping means staying safe so the grown-ups don't have to worry." Tommy's face fell. He was 9 now. Old enough to understand. Old enough to hate being told no. "I'm not a baby anymore, Mama." "I know you're not." "Then why do you treat me like one?" The words stung. Because he was right. Clara had been holding on too tight, afraid of losing him the way she'd lost James. "You're right," she said. "You're not a baby. You're brave and strong and capable." She handed him his rain slicker. "Go help your father. But you listen to everything he says. You hear me?" Tommy's face lit up. "Yes, ma'am." He ran out before she could change her mind. Clara watched through the window. Saw Eli's surprise when Tommy appeared. Saw him hesitate. Then saw him hand Tommy a shovel. Her son. Working alongside his father. In a flood. And she had to let them. Had to trust they'd both come home. The rain lasted 3 days. They lost the lower pasture. 5 head of cattle wandered off. But the house stood. The barn stood. And her family came home every night exhausted but alive. On the 4th day, the sun came out. Clara walked the property surveying damage. It was bad. Not devastating, but bad enough to set them back months. "We'll recover," Eli said. He stood beside her looking at the ruined pasture. "Always do." "This is the 3rd setback this year. The drought last summer, the fence vandalism in fall. Now this." "Yeah, farming's hard. Ranching. That too," he smiled. "But we're still here, still fighting." "For how long?" "Before we run out of money, out of luck." Eli turned to face her. "You giving up on me?" "No, just tired of struggling." "Then let's stop struggling." "What?" "Let's stop fighting to survive and start building to thrive. I've been talking to some of the other ranchers, the decent ones. They want to form a co-op, pool resources, share equipment, buy supplies in bulk." "That costs money to join." "Some, but it saves more in the long run. And Clara, I think it's time we stopped being stubborn and started being smart." Clara wanted to argue, wanted to insist they could do it alone. But she was tired of alone, tired of stubborn. Fine, talk to them. See what it would cost. Eli kissed her forehead. We're going to make it, I promise. Yeah. Clara wanted to believe him, but belief was getting harder to maintain. That night someone knocked on the door, late, after Tommy was asleep. Clara grabbed the rifle out of habit. Eli answered. Sheriff Dawson stood there. His face was grave. Evening, Storm. Mrs. Storm. Sorry to bother you so late. What's wrong? Clara asked, her heart already racing. Got some news. About Cross. Clara's blood went cold. What about him? He's dead. Killed in prison yesterday. Stabbing. Another inmate. The words didn't make sense at first. Clara heard them, understood them individually, but together they created a meaning her brain couldn't process. Dead. Yes, ma'am. Thought you should know. Since he did what he did. Clara sat down hard. Dead. Cross was dead. The man who'd terrorized her, who'd tried to kill her family, who'd burned her house. Gone. How do you feel? Dawson asked. I don't know, Clara said honestly. I thought I'd feel something. Relief, satisfaction, but I just feel empty. That's normal. Man did terrible things, but he was still a man. It's okay to not celebrate death. After Dawson left, Clara and Eli sat in silence, processing. Does this change anything? Clara asked. What do you mean? I mean, we've been fighting him for so long, building our life in opposition to him. Now he's gone. So what are we building for? Eli took her hand. We're building for us, for Tommy, for the life we want, not the one Cross tried to take from us. How do we know what we want when everything's been about survival? We figure it out, together, starting tomorrow. But tomorrow brought its own problems. Tommy came home from school with a black eye and bloody knuckles. Clara grabbed his face. What happened? Got in a fight. With who? Billy Cross. Clara's stomach dropped. Cross's son. Nephew. He said Papa was a... Tommy's voice broke. He said bad things. About Papa. About you. About us. So you hit him. Had to. He wouldn't stop. Eli appeared in the doorway, assessed the situation instantly. Let me see your hands, son. Tommy held out his hands. Knuckles split open. Eli cleaned them carefully. Did you win? Yes, sir. Good. How many times did you hit him? 3 times. Once for each of us. Eli's lips twitched. And did he stop talking? Yes, sir. Stopped real quick. Then you did what you had to do, but Tommy, violence is last resort. You understand when words fail, when walking away isn't possible, only then. Yes, sir. But Papa, he said you weren't my real father, that you're just some drifter Mama took in. Eli went very still. And what did you say? I said you're more my father than his uncle ever was to him. That real fathers stay, they fight, they love. Tommy's eyes filled. Was I wrong? Eli pulled Tommy into a fierce hug. No, son, you weren't wrong. Not even a little bit. Clara watched them. Her husband and her son. Blood didn't make them family. Choice did. Every single day, they chose each other. That night, the school board called a meeting. Wanted to expel Tommy for fighting. Clara and Eli sat in the front row while the board debated. The boy started a fight, one board member said. We have a zero-tolerance policy. Billy Cross started it with his mouth, Clara said. My son finished it with his fists. There's a difference. Violence is violence, Mrs. Storm. Is it because my son defended his family's honor? What would you have had him do? Stand there and take abuse? He should have told a teacher. And then what? The teacher tells Billy to stop. Billy says sorry and means it. You and I both know that's not how the world works. The board members shifted uncomfortably. Gaines stood up from the back. May I speak? The chairman nodded. I taught Tommy in Sunday school. He's a good boy, kind, thoughtful, not prone to violence. If he fought, he had reason. And frankly, I think expelling him sends the wrong message. That defending yourself is wrong. That standing up to bullies makes you the problem. Gaines looked around the room. We've all stood by while good people got hurt, while Cross terrorized this town. Are we really going to punish a child for having more courage than we did? Silence. Then Martha stood. I agree with the Reverend. Tommy stays. One by one, others stood. Not everyone, but enough. The chairman sighed. Fine. Tommy stays. But one more incident. There won't be, Eli said. I'll make sure of it. They walked home under stars, Tommy between them, holding both their hands. Am I in trouble? Tommy asked. No, Clara said. You're not in trouble. But I broke the rules. Sometimes rules are wrong. Sometimes standing up for yourself is more important than following rules. How do I know which times? Clara and Eli looked at each other. How did you teach a child the difference between justified violence and cruelty, between standing up and lashing out? You use your judgment, Eli said, and you ask yourself, am I doing this to hurt someone or to protect someone? If it's to hurt you, walk away. If it's to protect you, stand your ground. Tommy thought about this. Okay, I understand. Clara hoped he did. Hoped they were teaching him right. Hoped they weren't creating a boy who solved problems with his fists. But then Tommy said, Papa, if someone hurts Mama again, I'll fight them too. Even if I get expelled. Even if I get in trouble. Because family protects family. And Clara knew they were doing something right. Summer came hot and dry. The kind of dry that cracked earth and killed crops and made everyone mean. Water disputes broke out between ranchers. The co-op Eli had joined helped. But tensions still ran high. One afternoon, a stranger rode up to the ranch. Young man, maybe 20, dusty from travel. Help you, Eli called from the porch. The young man dismounted, removed his hat. I'm looking for Elijah Storm. You found him. My name's Daniel Patterson. I think you knew my father. Eli went pale. Clara appeared beside him. Thomas Patterson, Eli asked. Yes, sir. He died in the war. But before he did, he left papers. About this land. About a debt he owed you. Daniel looked around. This is that land, isn't it? It is. Then it's mine. By inheritance. My father owned it first. Clara's world tilted. The land they'd fought for, built on. The land Eli had legal deed to. Show me the papers. Eli said quietly. Daniel produced documents. Older than Eli's deed. Predating the transfer. Clara read them with growing horror. Thomas Patterson had owned this land, had tried to transfer it to Eli, but had died before the transfer was finalized. Which meant it should have gone to his heir, to Daniel, their land, their home, their entire life, built on a legal mistake. This can't be right, Clara said. We have a deed, signed, witnessed. By my grandmother, Daniel said, who didn't have legal authority to sell. The land was part of my father's estate. It should have gone through probate. It didn't. So what are you saying? Eli's voice was flat. Dangerous. I'm saying this land is legally mine, and I want it back. Clara felt the earth drop out from under her. Everything. They were losing everything. Again. Get off my property, she said. It's not your property. That's the point. I said get off. Now. Before I make you. Daniel backed toward his horse. I'll be back. With a lawyer and a judge. You can't shoot your way out of this one, Mrs. Storm. He rode away. Clara stood frozen, Eli beside her, both of them processing. We'll fight this, Eli said. We'll get a lawyer. Prove what? That your friend's son doesn't have a right to his father's land. Clara laughed bitterly. We can't win this, Eli. The law's on his side. Then we'll buy it from him. With what money we're barely scraping by as it is. We'll figure something out. Will we? Because I'm tired of figuring things out. Tired of fighting. Tired of losing everything over and over again. Clara. No, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep building just to watch it all fall apart. She walked away. Into the house. To their bedroom. Closed the door. Eli didn't follow. Knew better. Let her have space. Clara lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Thought about packing. About running. About taking Tommy and disappearing into the territories where no one could find them. But she was tired of running too. She was just tired. Tommy found her an hour later, climbed onto the bed beside her. Mama, Papa says we might lose the ranch. Maybe. Where will we go? I don't know, baby. Will Papa come with us? Clara turned to look at her son. Of course. Why would you think otherwise? Because people leave. When things get hard, they leave. Papa won't leave. He promised. Daddy promised too, and he left. That was different. Daddy didn't choose to leave. But he left anyway, and now we might lose our home anyway. So what's the difference? Clara had no answer, because Tommy was right. In the end, promises didn't matter. Death came. Loss came. Everything you loved could be taken in an instant. But then Tommy said, I don't want to leave. I like it here. I like our house. I like having a papa. I like being happy. And Clara realized something. They'd been happy. Actually, genuinely happy. For the first time in years. Maybe the first time ever. And she wasn't ready to give that up without a fight. She found Eli in the barn. He was packing. His saddlebags, his rifle, getting ready to leave. What are you doing? I'm going to find Daniel Patterson. I'm going to talk to him. Figure out what he wants. He wants the land. Then I'll buy it from him, beg if I have to. But I'm not letting him take this from us without trying everything. And if he says no, then we'll figure out something else. We always do. Clara crossed the barn, took his hands. I'm sorry, for earlier, for saying I was tired of fighting. You are tired, so am I. It's okay to admit it. But I'm not giving up. Not on this. Not on us. Eli kissed her. Neither am I. They rode out together. Left Tommy with Martha. Found Daniel Patterson in town. He was staying at the boarding house. Mr. Patterson, Clara said. We'd like to talk. About what the land's mine. Nothing to discuss. About what you actually want, Eli said. You rode 300 miles to claim land, but you don't look like a rancher. Don't talk like one. So what do you really want? Daniel shifted. That's none of your business. It is if you're taking my home. Daniel sighed. Sat down. Fine. You want the truth, I need money. My mother's sick. Doctor bills are crushing us. I thought maybe I could sell this land. Pay for her treatment. Clara and Eli looked at each other. Saw the same calculation. How much do you need? Clara asked. For what? For your mother. How much money? $500, maybe more. And how much do you think this land is worth? I don't know. 1,000, 1,500. Eli leaned forward. I'll give you 800, cash, today. You sign the land over to us, legal and proper, and we'll throw in a letter of reference. Help you find work if you need it. Daniel stared. You have $800. No, but I know where to get it. They went to the bank. Eli put up their cattle as collateral. The banker was reluctant, but Gaines vouched for them. So did Martha. So did half a dozen other townspeople. They got the loan, paid Daniel, got the deed, legal and proper and uncontestable. That night they sat on their porch, Tommy between them, looking at their land, their home, knowing it was really truly theirs. We're in debt now, Clara said. Yep. Serious debt. Yep. We'll have to work twice as hard, sell more cattle, take fewer risks. Yep. And we still might lose everything. Eli smiled. But we won't lose it without fighting. And we won't lose each other. That's what matters. Clara leaned against him. When did you become so wise? When I met a stubborn widow who taught me that some things are worth fighting for. Tommy yawned. Can we stay here forever now? Really forever? Really forever, Clara said. This is home, our home. Nobody can take it from us now. Promise. Promise. Tommy fell asleep between them. Clara and Eli carried him to bed, tucked him in, stood in his doorway watching him breathe. You ever think about more? Clara asked. More what? More children. Brothers or sisters for Tommy. Eli looked at her. You want more children? Maybe. Someday. When things are more stable. Clara, things are never going to be stable. That's not how life works. Then maybe we should have them anyway. Build our family while we can. Eli pulled her close. You sure? No. But I'm not sure about anything. I'm just choosing to hope anyway. That might be the bravest thing you've ever said. Clara laughed. Braver than facing down cross? Much braver. Hope's harder than violence. Costs more too. They made love that night with new urgency, new purpose, building more than a life now, building a legacy. 3 months later, Clara discovered she was pregnant. She told Eli while they were mending fence, just blurted it out. I'm having a baby. Eli dropped the hammer. What? I'm pregnant, about 3 months along. He stared at her, then whooped, actually whooped, picked her up and spun her. Careful, you'll hurt the baby. Sorry, sorry. He set her down gently, cupped her face. We're having a baby, an actual baby. That's generally what pregnant means. I'm going to be a father, again, a real father this time, from the beginning. You're already a real father. Tommy's your son. This one's just extra. Eli laughed, kissed her belly. I love you. Both of you. All 3 of you, including Tommy. My whole family. Tommy took the news with 9-year-old skepticism. A baby. Why? Because babies are blessings, Clara said. They cry a lot. Yes. And they smell. Sometimes. And I'll have to share my room. Eventually. Tommy considered this. Will the baby be a boy or a girl? We don't know yet. I want a brother, so I can teach him things. And if it's a sister, then I'll teach her things too. But I'd rather have a brother. He got his wish. Clara gave birth in February. A hard birth. Long, painful. But in the end, she held a squalling, red-faced boy who had Eli's nose and her stubborn chin. What should we name him? Eli asked. Clara looked at her husband, at the man who'd saved her, who'd given her a home, who'd given Tommy a father, who'd given her love when she'd forgotten how to accept it. James, she said, after Tommy's father, and Elijah as his middle name, after you. Eli's eyes filled. You don't have to. I want to. James would have wanted it, would have wanted Tommy's brother to carry his name. James Elijah Storm, Eli said. Tested it. That's a strong name, a good name. Tommy held his brother for the first time, awkward and careful and terrified he'd break him. He's so small, Tommy whispered. You were this small once, Clara said. Really? Really? I don't remember. No, but I do. And someday you'll help Jamie remember. You'll tell him stories about when he was little. Tommy looked at the baby, at his brother. I'll protect him, like Papa protects us. I know you will. That spring, the ranch turned profitable for the first time. They paid down their debt, bought more cattle, hired 2 ranch hands, built an addition onto the house. Tommy turned 10, started talking about becoming a rancher like his papa, started wearing his hat the same way, started walking with the same stride. Eli taught him to break horses, to read weather, to manage accounts. All the things a son should learn from his father. Jamie grew fat and happy, learned to crawl, to laugh, to call out Pa and Ma in his baby voice. And Clara. Clara learned to breathe, to sleep through the night without nightmares, to trust that happiness wasn't temporary, that home wasn't something that could be burned away. 5 years passed, then 10. Tommy grew tall and capable, took over more of the ranch work, fell in love with the school teacher's daughter, married her in the same church where Clara and Eli had wed. Jamie grew into a wild boy who loved horses and hated books, who followed Eli everywhere, who called Clara Mama with such pure love it made her cry. The ranch prospered. They bought more land, built a bigger house, became respected members of the community. Cross's name faded from memory, became a cautionary tale, a story about greed and what it costs. And Clara. Clara became known as the widow who wouldn't break, who'd faced down a tyrant and won, who'd built a legacy from ashes. She stood on her porch one evening 20 years after that first day Eli had appeared. Tommy was 30 now, running the ranch with his wife. Jamie was 15, learning to be a man. Eli came up behind her, put his arms around her waist. His hair was gray now, lines around his eyes. But his hands were still strong, his love still steady. "You thinking about the old days?" he asked. "Sometimes. Hard not to. Regret anything." Clara thought about it, about the fear, the pain, the loss, the fight. "No," she said, "not even the hard parts, because the hard parts led to this." To what? To us, to family, to home, to everything I never thought I'd have. Eli kissed her temple. Same. They stood together watching the sunset over land they'd fought for, land they'd earned, land they'd passed to their children and their children's children. Tommy rode up with his 2 daughters, 6 and 4. They jumped down and ran to Clara. Grandma, we learned a new song." Clara scooped them up. These beautiful children who existed because she'd been brave enough to hope, brave enough to fight, brave enough to love again. "Sing it for me," she said. And they did. Their voices high and sweet and full of the innocence she'd fought so hard to protect. Eli's hand found hers, squeezed once, a whole conversation in that squeeze. "We made it. Against everything, we made it." "I love you," Clara said. "Still, always." "Still and always," Eli replied. "Until my last breath and beyond." Jamie appeared from the barn, tall now, strong, looked like his father, had his mother's fire. "Pa need help with the new foal?" "Sure, son, let's go." Father and son walked away together. Clara watched them go, felt Eli's granddaughters climb on her lap, felt Tommy's hand on her shoulder. This was what she'd fought for, not land, not water rights, not revenge. Family, home, love, legacy. Cross had tried to take it from her, had tried to break her, had tried to erase her. But she'd won. Not by defeating him, but by building something he never could. A life worth living, a family worth fighting for, a home worth defending. And as the last light faded from the sky and the stars came out one by one, Clara Whitmore Storm knew with absolute certainty that she'd made the right choice every time she'd chosen to stay, to fight, to love, and to hope. Because hope in the end was the strongest weapon she'd ever had. And she'd won.